Hey everybody, welcome back to Tavian's World of Reptiles. I hope you guys are having a beautiful winter day. It is lovely here. It is very, very cold, but it is sunny, and that's nice. So, yeah. So yesterday, you guys, if you watched the video, I introduced you all to Rafiki and let you know how I got him at the Reptile Expo here in Portland, or in Portland. I'm not in Portland, but yes. And if you remember, I said that I walked away from that expo with two snakes. Now, after I got Rafiki, my blood python, I continued to move around the area just looking because, as I said in the last video, I had a $300 budget and Rafiki came to be about less than half that. So I ended up walking around because, why not? I had the budget. I'll see what else is out there. I didn't have to wander around for 2 months longer because during the time that I was looking and going back and forth between the different blood python tables and circling and trying to make my decision, there was another snake that I was eyeing, and I was also going back and forth trying to solidify my decision on that one. And after I got Rafiki, I decided, you know what? Why the heck not? So I meandered back to a table I had circled several times because this snake was at that table, and I had been eyeing it. Now, this snake was a snake that I also had seen in the groups and seemed to have a bad reputation as well for being super hot tempered and having a serious biting issue. So, I, of course, was drawn to that snake as well. And why not? If I just got this one snake that was supposed to be super bitey, why not go ahead and get a second one? So I went and I picked up this guy. This, everybody, is Shere Khan, my carpet python. He's a beautiful boy. I'm sorry to spook your Snoop. He doesn't like Snoop booping. Most snakes don't, but you know. Anyway, so I meandered back to a table that I had been walking past several times while at the same time trying to decide on whether or not to get the bud python. So after I got Rafiki, I went right back to that table, having solidified my decision. It did not take me long to meander around after getting the blood python. So I went back to the table. Now, all the times that I had passed this table, the breeder had been busy with talking to people, but I really wasn't looking to talk to him at the time anyway. I was just really inspecting the snakes. Um, but the time I came back, this last time, he was literally just finishing up with somebody, and so he came right over to me because apparently he had taken notice in me coming back to this table several times. And he made mention of it. And so, and I pointed out the one that I was looking at and, talking to him about it and talking to him about the temperament. And he was just like, they can be, they can be mouthy as babies, but they can be worked with. Like, they're not as, aggressive as people were saying that they were. And if you put time into it, that you could have a really docile carpet python. And he had both the parents displayed in a, like, I don't know, bigger uh, ceramic enclosure there that we were all able to see, and they were very large and very beautiful, and it was nice to be able to see the parents. And he did send me uh, the heritage or the bloodline or whatever, the information, like with the chart and all that's actually in this guy, but I have misplaced that since then, so I can't confirm anything right now. I think IJ was in it, but I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I ended up walking away with not just a blood python, but also a carpet python, both snakes that were said to have super hot temperaments. Because I'm crazy like that. And why not? So, I got this guy home, and if you watched yesterday's video, you heard about the very long day that Rafiki had and why he was so upset when I first got him home. And you can imagine that he had the exact same day. I'm not sure if I said his name. This is Shere Khan. Actually, I'm pretty positive I did say his name. But so I got Shere Khan home. And, he was in a bag, and we got all the way home, and I opened up the bag. He was curled up tight, so I just reached in and I grabbed him. He didn't strike me because he was curled up tight and kind of chilled. But once he got out of the bag and like pulled his head out of his like tucked up, curled up ball, he immediately like came at me like, oh man, I was trying to do an inspection of him and look for mites, and once he got comfortable and uncurled, he came at me pretty hardcore. He was like, upset as well. And like I said, with Rafiki, completely understandable. They had had a long day, so I finished my inspection, and then I just put him in his quarantine tub, and I left him be for a week. Fed him, left him for a couple more days, and then I started my handling. Now, it was a little bit rougher of a start than with Rafiki. Now, Shere Khan continued to be a pretty bitey snake. You know, whenever I opened up the tub, he immediately shot into the S position, and immediately wanted to try to bite. But after like a week of that, he did continue to jump into the S position, but I was also able, instead of him just S'ing and immediately striking, he S'd, and before he had time to realize what was happening, I would just reach in, scoop him up, and have him out. Now, he did continue to try to bite me on the outside of the enclosure, but I was able to at least get into the enclosure first, after about a week. And so, after about, a month of him being here, he stopped striking me. He stopped tracking my movements. Well, no, by the month he was still tracking my movements. He would track where I was. He wasn't striking anymore, but he definitely followed my hands around. He followed my movements. He did not like sudden movements. They freaked him out. But by a month and a half, maybe 3/4 of the way through the second month, like, he was no longer biting. He was no longer S shaping. He was not just stuck in a ball, curled up, freaked out. He was wandering. He was being curious, much like he is now. And he just really mellowed out very quickly. So, by the end of month two, we were just tight as thieves. We made it work. We worked great. And he's been super chill. Then he was an escape artist in the beginning. I had to really figure out the best enclosure rings for him because he could just escape the smallest damn little crooks. And so I had to really learn that about him. But I never lost him for too long. He did get out for a month. And then when I found him, he was very, very skinny. He's just putting some weight back onto him, which is nice. So, he did recover from that. And I was super concerned because, well, not really, because when I did find him, when he showed back up again after a month, he was crawling across the top of my frogs enclosures. And if you've seen my reptile room, you know where that is. And he was active. So I wasn't as concerned. I have lost a snake before that got out, and then I found them and they did not recover. I will do another video on that one at a different time. But so I was a little concerned, but because he was active when I found him, unlike that snake, I assumed he was okay. He was good. He just needed to be warm again and get some food in his body. So he had a very long, month-long adventure around this house at some point, but he came home and all is well in the world with him. So yeah, he's a beautiful boy. Yeah, I think one of my there's a funny story. I don't have very many snake funny stories, but he's got a pretty good one. One time when he was a baby, I had put holes in his tub, and there was one hole that I had made for a mount, but then I had taken that mount out, and I guess I thought that it was too small for him to get out of, but he got out of it. He got out of that hole, and I ended up waking up in the morning to him crawling back towards his tub in the heating unit that was up there. And after he had gotten out, because the night before I had pulled out my frozen rodents, and I would just leave them to thaw overnight and then feed first thing early in the morning. That's what I did, and I often do that sometimes still. But he got out, helped himself to his rat, and then helped himself to another tiny little mouse that actually belonged to Toph, and then was working his way back towards his home. It was the most hilarious thing I had ever seen. And, I shared that in the groups, and everybody found it super hilarious. I figured you guys might find it super hilarious. These guys, everybody thinks they're just not intelligent, but they totally are. He sensed that there was food out there. He found a way to get out to that food. He found his way to that food, and then he was working his way back to the warmth where he can continue to relax and digest that food in peace. So, they're not as dumb as people make them out to be. They're super highly intelligent creatures. They may not be able to love in all that sense, as people like to say, but they are smart. They can learn who their owners are. They can learn to trust individuals. They can learn when there's danger. They can learn how to take care of themselves when they get out. So, they're really smart creatures. I mean, not always when they get out is it going to be a happy story, because anything could happen that's not just like the simple fact of finding food and staying warm. But the fact of the matter is, they're smart creatures and they know overall how to take care of themselves and what they need. And if you pay attention to your snakes, they'll tell you. They'll let you know what it is they need from you when they're sick and tired of dealing with you, when they're no longer being tolerant of your presence. So like Rafiki, Shere Khan will let me know when he's tired of my presence too. He doesn't often. Rafiki has a little bit less patience with me. He does tend to get over me quicker, but Rafiki can just be out all day. Like, he just likes to roam. He likes to just sleep up on top of the enclosures, and just hang out. He likes to crawl around the room. Yeah, I think it's funny because sometimes I'll open up enclosures and I'll let them out, and usually it's Antiope and Shere Khan who come out early in the morning when I do that. And it's funny because I'll let one out and I'll let them get to the other side of the room, and then I'll let the other one out, and it seems like they'll track each other around the room sometimes, like the carpet python and my reticulated python. Like, they'll just seem to follow each other's scent and keep going each other's same route. And it's interesting to see that. But when he's not stalking Shere Khan, he also tends to make a straight beeline towards my bedroom door. I don't know. He just wants to go out of the room. He's something out there he wants to get to. No matter where I put him, I will pick him up from the door. I'll watch him get all the way to the door, just to the outside, and then I'll pick him up and I'll put him back up on a shelf somewhere, and he'll just work his way all the way back down, right back to the door. I don't know what's out there. I don't know what he's trying to get to, but something outside of my bedroom is drawing his attention. There are ball pythons in the other room, as my partner has them, or my roommate has them, and so he could be trying to go hang out with them. He has gotten all the way over there because one time I've had him out and I I got distracted, I guess, and he got out of my room and he went into their room, which is literally right next door and like right on the other side of this wall. And my roommate woke up to him on top of his ball pythons enclosures, just kind of hanging out. So, maybe he just likes to go hang out with the ball pythons over there. I don't know, but yeah, he's a chill snake. He had a little bit of a rougher start than Rafiki in life with me, but that did not mean that he didn't tame down. He tamed down just fine, and he's a sweet snake. He doesn't bite. He's not super easily startled anymore. So, another snake that I would suggest to anybody who might have been hesitant about getting one of them because they heard that they had a really bad temperament and were really mouthy and couldn't be worked with, because they can be. They're absolutely fantastic creatures. Any snake can be worked with. Like, hands down, any snake can be worked with if you put the time into it. Like, even venomous snakes. And no, I'm not saying go out and get yourself a venomous snake. I'm just saying that if you are a long term keeper and you've been keeping venomous snakes for a very long time and you handle them regularly, they can grow to trust you. Maybe not everybody that you bring into the space, but you as their keeper, and to feel comfortable with you and not feel the need to strike, and putting you in a little less dangerous of a situation because you've built a good relationship with them. So, like I said, don't go out and just get a venomous snake. No, no, not at all. But these are great snakes. They're fantastic snakes. I highly suggest them for anyone. And here's a controversial thing I'm probably going to say. I'd even suggest them for a beginner if they wanted to. Yes, these snakes get long, but they don't get super heavy. They're not like retics. They do get pretty long, and they live a long time, but they're handleable. They're not the worst snakes that you could have. Like, they don't get as big as like boas weight wise. They're sleeker than boas. They do get pretty long like boas, but they're not as heavy as boas. So if you like the idea of a long snake that's somewhat heavy but not the heaviest thing in the world, like a retic, this would be a good snake. It's not a hard snake to care for. It does not have super hard, crazy requirements. I think a beginner could totally handle a carpet python if they put in loads of research and time to dedicating to learning about all this snake needs, both as babies and as full-grown adults. Then I do believe a beginner could handle a carpet python. Not a popular belief, but that's my opinion. So, that's Shere Khan, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. He's been super chill with me now. I'm going to go ahead and let him do some roaming on before I go to work. So, because he's done with me. Uh, he's not like showing any signs. He's not like hissing at me or anything. But I can see that he wants to go. that way. So, all right, everybody, you guys have a beautiful day. Enjoy your winter. I hope you guys are managing to stay warm out there. And if you live somewhere that's warm, well, lucky you. All right, everybody, this is TWR signing out. Y'all stay positive. Y'all stay great. Love your family. Love yourselves. We're out.